Hello, and welcome, my good students, to our War on the Sea Let's Play as the Imperial Japanese Navy. Firstly, can I just say thank you to all of those who did comment on the previous War on the Sea video. It's really encouraging, very much appreciated to see how well you received the previous video. Small change up, but it could make some massive differences, I feel. So it's very nice to see that you have received it so well. We're not going to be doing that all the time. I think we're going to be blending that with the normal usual source of formats so that we don't miss out on certain large decision making, and we can go in depth on the larger surface battles, which I think we have one coming up if we play our cards right. So let's go to the strategic map and have a look at that now that we have mentioned it. So what am I talking about? Well, we have this Tennessee-led task force over here to the south of Truk. If we just have a look at our air units over here, we have 3 Bessies and 6 Judys, a couple Mavises. We can use those to aid us in our battle, but I'm thinking we don't necessarily go head first into that with our Yamato task force here. Even though, of course, we do have Yamato, we are slightly damaged across the board. Our heavy cruisers aren't so bad, but I think what we could do is keep an eye on that task force and come down with Guam defense and switch out a few ships there. We could bring in the Mutsu and maybe even switch out a Chokai for the damaged Mogami, I believe it was, and bring in the Jinsu as well for the damaged light cruiser there, and of course give us some very quick destroyer supports there, while the remainder of the task force here deals with any cargo ships coming in. That sounds like a decent idea to me, rather than going head in and ruining the battle for ourselves there. Even though we do have some decent ships here, we are slightly damaged, and of course the sheer volume of firepower in this task force is nothing to be scoffed at, of course. And of course, knowing from the previous surface engagement we had against those Clevelands, didn't go entirely as desired, did it? And I do, of course, want to at least sink the battleship here to force a retreat from there. Maybe even bag the Exeter as well. That's something we've seen from quite early on in the campaign here. But it's just evaded us, been rather elusive, that has. So what we're going to do is actually get out a single Mavis with nothing loaded up onto it, and we're just going to watch this task force here. It is currently in our radar sight, so we don't need to worry too much about that, but just to make some solid contact with that, we are going to keep the Mavis over there and bring in our ships and just shadow that as needed. We do of course have an I-54 here which can batter us a little bit beforehand, but I really want to take a surface engagement here if possible. If we look at our supplies over here, we do have a minor resupply task force coming over to Peleliu, which is very nice indeed. If we drag that down to see exactly what's there, we do have a lot of engineering, we do have a lot of fuel and some supplies there, and that is very much needed because we can't actually get any more planes up on there because of our extremely low engineering there, which is rather nasty indeed. So I think that's the way to go at the moment. I'm just going to double check on, we have our engineering task force over here. That's going to come down with engineering and supplies and such. We have fuel, we do have a bit of fuel on the Nippon Maru over here to make sure Puerto Princessa's integrity doesn't go down at all. It's not so bad. And I think we'll be okay there, but I do want the supplies to troops ratio up a bit as well, and we might be able to look at actually upgrading that if we're smart about that to get a level 3 airfield out of there, but we'll have to see about that. It's Hong Kong really that might be the problem. Our supplies to troops ratio is actually decent, and we do have a lot of engineering and fuel on there, so we will just have to keep an eye on that and see how the integrity goes over the coming weeks. So let's get going and see if we can hit this task force. That's the aim for today. Nothing else really grand going on otherwise. Let's get going. In the late evening of that same day, 2 submarines patrolling the Philippines have encountered 2 British cargo ships, one of them being a hospital ship. And since laws fall silent in times of war, we are going to sink the hospital ship as the Japanese demand. With the 2 targets being completely unarmed, we decide to surface our submarines and fire at them with our artillery guns. Well, 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 over the nighttime period, Yamato may have stumbled onto rather a nasty surprise here. We sighted what we believed to be a cargo supply force coming to the south of Truk, pushing into us because the Tennessee task force did appear to retreat throughout the daytime. But we have been gravely mistaken. We have a very, very close quarters combat situation here. We are 7 kilometers, or just under 7 kilometers away from the Tennessee with our Yamato here. Under the cover of night, the visibility is 29% at total with a sea state of 6. We have no, of course, air cover to help us spot. We're not going to need that. Our spotlights are going to be opening up immediately. I have issued firing orders to everyone. However, we need to issue some movement orders, I feel, to really get going. And I think what we're going to do is get to the Naganami round. And that is focusing on the, is targeting actually the Bagley over here, just using that to identify. I think what we're going to do is move that around. There's not really any need to get smoke up because we're so close, unfortunately. Get that to max speed if possible. Bring Yamato. Do you want to bring Yamato round? I believe it's going to get very dangerous. Yeah, just bring that out round this way to turn around. Nenehi over here. I think we're going to get that to turn around as well. That's going to fire out some star shells over the Tennessee for us. Going to get the Shiryuki to, I think, go full speed. Break that off, I think, if possible. And that's going to have to start turning, I think, around here, as well as the Maya, which is firing out the Exeter. We have all of our heavy cruisers onto the Exeter. Naka over here. I think we're just going to run the gauntlet to go straight across and turn around here. With the Kazagamo, I think we might want to try something similar. I want to try and get some torpedoes downrange if possible. I think we're going to mildly turn off here as well. See how that goes. You can see we're instantly firing off our searchlights here. Very, very nasty indeed. Very, very close quarters. We're going to start firing on the Bagley with all of our destroyers. The Dane over here is going to be targeted by our Naka, but that's going to go down very, very quickly. So we're going to get our starboard side torpedoes off as quickly as possible, like so. This is going to go down very, very quickly. It appears they're focusing the Naka, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get going with our heavy cruisers here. We're going to have to turn around, I think, as well with this. Have spotted another couple of destroyers at the back here. It looks like they're going to come down towards us over here, so that's going to be very, very nasty indeed. Getting some hits off onto the Tennessee here, but nothing major there. You can see the Naka really struggling now. That's going to be very, very nasty for that. Maybe saying bye-bye to that very soon. We need to fire out some narrow on here, if possible, please. Might want to actually fire out some mangle fire here, because that is so close and going at a slow speed there. So the travel time won't be huge there. You can hear the thunder of those guns coming off ever so quickly here. Naganami might want to fire off all of their torpedoes as well. Tennessee suffers a magazine explosion. Those are the front 2 turrets out of place there already. That is absolutely phenomenal. That is the power of the Yamato, of course, at very close range. Very, very lucky indeed. So we will need to keep firing onto that to make sure that goes down. So I was going to fire out some torpedoes with the Naganami there. I think we're still going to do so. Let's fire at a 2-degree spread with all of them. Let's not make it mangle because we'll just miss with those. Unfortunately, I'm not very confident with that. I think we'll keep the Nenehi over here then, and we will finally fire out on the Bagley with that. We need to change our targets over here with our directors. Let's fire out there. How are we doing on the York? Nothing too much yet. I think we'll keep firing out some star shells there and try and get some mangle shots off soon. How's the Naka looking? Do we really want to look? That is definitely going to sink. Look at that. At least we've got some sort of shots out there. Do we even hit the Dane with that? Probably not too much. We're getting a couple hits in there, aren't we, actually? Bagley's taking a few hits as well. But Naka is finally sinking. Yamato, if you just hold out very quickly. I think what we'll do is we'll fire out some more mangled shots, but we don't need to. The magazine explosion was certainly enough. If we take away the UI there, you can see that's the bow is pretty much submerged from the Tennessee there. That is absolutely amazing. Very, very nice indeed. A trade so far, a battleship for a light cruiser. I could certainly take that, but we don't want to keep that going too much. We're going to fire actually onto the Dane now with our Yamato. Going to hold off with our main batteries and spot out very quickly with our secondaries there. Bagley's sinking as well, so we're just going to take a second, but it looks like our Naganami's in trouble, so we're going to turn that around. We're going to get this to fire out on the Tribal first. I'm having trouble identifying the number 4 destroyer. This is another British destroyer there. But we will take a better look very soon once we've lit it up a bit more. We're going to start firing some real secondaries out with our Maya. Was firing the star shells out there. With the Tonne, we were firing, of course, on the York. We're going to have to turn around to get our shots out there, decent broadside. And what we'll do is turn around with the Maya here and these destroyers a bit better. Like so. Get on their flank if possible, but the Naganami is going to have to turn around. I think, even though I said it's not a lot of point to it, we are going to smoke up here. Might want to stop it firing as well to stop our muzzle flashes, but I'm not sure it's going to make much difference at the moment. Kazakamo might want to fire out some torpedoes. The solution is not great, but we can give it a go. We'll increase the spread to 3 degrees, like so. We should be able to fire those off. They are turning. We do have an angle there. So far the Tribal is under a small threat of these torpedoes, but if it keeps on that speed I think it will be fine, unfortunately for us. Yamato, how are you doing? You do have a very nice solution else on there, but it's going fairly slowly, this Dane. So we are going to try yet another mangle shot on that, and if not, if it doesn't work out, let's fire out about here, and we'll move that to narrow firing after that. If we do get any direct hits with that, that was very, very quick. I'm really not thinking about the shell travel time there, am I? We need to fire much closer to this, I think. Let's take a report on this, actually. Dane, where are you? Heavy to moderate, that's very nice. Heavy to moderate on the York as well. Across the board, we're not doing too badly. Apart from the sunk Naka, I think we're doing alright here. We're certainly coming out on top. Let's hold that back then, and we can get a better mangle shot there, knowing that they're probably going slower now. And with that shell travel time, very, very nice indeed. How we're doing on the try, we've got some very nice solutions on this actually, so that should be taking some damage soon. York, how are you looking? Got some nice fires. Bagley has been struck by torpedoes but it's been sunk anyway, so that's unfortunate. A couple wasted torpedoes there then, if possible. That's awesome mindset. If we go back to Yamato, it should be reloaded. I'm certain we are. Let's go to Dane, which is going slower. You can see it's mostly submerged there, actually, the centre. So if we go over here and just fire out like that, we can hold off again. We've got a big old hit from our secondaries there. That'll slow it down even more, you would have hoped. That's not quite our main batteries, I don't think. Might well have been, though. I think that'll be going down very soon indeed, and that's quite the threat to our destroyers, which is why we are focusing it now. The York, though, needs to have something serious done to it, though, doesn't it? So we're going to try and get yet another mangle shot off here. We'll hold off with our Mogami. Our Tonne do actually have some firing angles on that, so you certainly do. We need to get some star shells out, I think, again. So we'll get some full firing on that. These things are looking rather dark. Yamato, you have reloaded once again. Let's go for AP narrow mangle fire, thank you. I'll just go straight on top of it like that. Just need to realign our guns there, and we'll get that onto automatic firing after this. Very, very nice hit onto the bow there. That'll be going down very soon by the looks of it. Those fires, very, very nasty indeed. Yep, Dane is sinking. Very good. Very, very good indeed. Yeah, there we go. Just to finish it off, add insult to injury. I think we will get the Yamato onto finishing this York, so we are going to hold fire over here, get our guns aligned, spot it with our secondaries once again. Our Mogami should be reloaded by now, so what we're going to do is manually target that. Again, don't need to aim too far ahead there because we are quite close to it. Just aim out like that, get our guns realigned, and go back to spotting fire like that. So we'll just pause over here to get over a mangle shot from the Tonne, and then we can watch over here, just lead a bit further around with that and see how that's doing. Probably a bit off there, but it's all practice. Oh, very nice. It looks like we've destroyed, put these front turrets out of action actually, which is very, very useful indeed. So that is pretty much dead in the water. Just a case of sinking the hole there, which is brilliant. How are we looking on the Naganami? It looks like we're still under fire, which is rather unfortunate. We are going to fully come out of here then, which is unfortunate to say. Shirayuki onto the tribal. I think what we need to do is form a line ahead with these two, so they are looking decent together. And get around, but it looks like the Kazagamo over here is looking rather battered. Got a couple fires on there. Nothing too bad though. Do I sight a torpedo in the water there? I think I do. I think we're going to just about take that though. That's very unlucky. Yeah, I think what we've done is made ourselves take that. Don't know what happened there, but I'm not going to complain. Looked like it passed directly under our bow there, maybe sitting too deep into the water. So we're going to move in closer, I think. Absolutely move in closer. We increase our speeds here. I think we're going to turn to port with the Mogami here. Yeah, that York, or the Exeter rather, is looking very nasty indeed. Basically downed. We could do, how are we looking with that? It's critical to heavy. Tribal could be looking better for us. And maybe want to get some star shells out over that. I'll just fire off a few rounds of star shells there. And try not to forget about that. It is under minor threat of these torpedoes, but I think it'll be okay since it's not going particularly quick. We'll try and identify these destroyers over here. This looks like another Bagley. You can see it did fire off the torpedoes, the tubes realigning there. Where are we? Bagley. Let's identify that. And it's this one that's caused me issues because I can't make out any design there whatsoever. We'll just have a look at the funnels and torpedo alignments, I think. What have we got? York is downed. We'll just take some time. Must be an E class there, but we can see a Dutch flag, so we're looking at the wrong nation completely there. Van Galen, perhaps? Funnels over here aren't quite aligned. Torpedoes. Does have those. We'll try for the Van Galen. So, that frees up our heavy cruisers here. And he was still targeting the Bagley there, which is... Oh, Dano struck by... That's okay. Dano struck by Duds, which is rather unfortunate there, Duds, but it is going down anyway. We will start targeting the Bagley then, I think. HE narrow over here. Actually, in fact, we'll get us to fire some spotting shells over that. We'll get our heavy cruisers onto the Bagley here. We go to HE narrow spotting to begin with, like so. And where are we? Tone can fire on that as well. Yamato is closer to the tribal, so that's what we're going to fire out at here. Hold off with our main batteries and fire off, of course, here. We are taking some shots, but of course this is low caliber guns onto our Yamato, so it's nothing to worry about too much. They're not starting any fires. Should be able to keep on top of that just fine there. Yeah, that is taking some very nasty hits there. Shirayuki was firing off star shells, wasn't it? Let's fire off some true shots here, and I think we'll start going actually for the Van Galen if possible there. Let's fire off, and we can we can change our... I've forgotten what the word is now. We can say whether it's a Van Galen or a Van Gent according to our solutions. Looks like the Naganami may well get away here if we just reduce our speed to help with our fires there, but with that explosion I think all the floods and fires about that may well just get scuttled if it doesn't sink, unfortunately. So how are we looking over here? That Bagley is taking some nasty damage indeed, and that is absolutely excellent. Tribal could be taking a bit more. I think what we need to do here is get our Yamato to fire out its main battery guns. If we do get a direct here, that's hit here, that's going to be nasty. Very, very nasty. Very close there. That is it. Instant magazine explosion from that. Unlucky day to be sailing on that tribal class there. So I think with that done, we can start firing out onto the Bagley, perhaps? Nah, that's not so bad. I think the Van Galen is one we want to go for here, so hold off there once again and fire with our HE secondaries. How is our solution over here? I think Van Galen is certainly the one to go for. We do have a very high solution there. Who was firing? Was someone firing star shells out there? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, we were firing out star shells over to the Bagley, weren't we? But that is now sinking, so we can finish up with the Van Galen here. And that is a very, very nice surprise night battle. I was honestly thinking we would really lose that quite hard. Even with the Yamato there, just the sheer firepower that they had, the sheer volume of fire they had to combat us, doesn't usually go too well for the Japanese. But we came out of that actually not so bad. Unfortunate to lose the Naka completely there. Can we see its... no, we can't find its remains, unfortunately. But not to worry too much. It's not a heavy cruiser or a battleship we lost. Very surprised actually that they didn't start to focus our larger ships with their battleships. But I'll happily take that. May need to resupply once again, and we'll double check our damages as well once this ship has been downed. That does not have long to go, and that should be a good 300 ships sunk. We'll double check soon. Very, very nice way to get there. You can see all of the misses here, all of the nasty misses. What we'll do is manually fire one last shot out, put it about here-ish, and we'll see about that, but I'm not sure it's entirely needed after that explosion. Oh, very, very close, but with the caliber of our guns that will have done some damage. Very, very close shot there. That is dead in the water now, going at 4 knots and declining. Everyone wave bye-bye. Yeah, it's critical quite clearly, and it is sunk. So I think what we're going to do is just have a quick look over our damages. Yeah, so the Kazagamo may well need to go back home. Tone is fine and unhit. Naganami is likely going to get scuttled, unfortunately. There's not much we can do with the permanent floods over here, the permanently destroyed compartments. Rather unlucky there. Yamato, Maya, Shirayuki, did that get hit? I think we're absolutely fine there, really. Leaving as we entered the battle there. Nenehi could be better, but I think once again unharmed in this particular battle. So it is the Kazagamo that needs to go back, unfortunately. Yamato struck by a surprise torpedo. That's unlucky, but nothing too bad on the rear there. Are we going to get hit by another torpedo, do we think? Going to have to let that pass now. Should have just paused, shouldn't we, and left. Oh dear, it's nothing too bad, only a little bit of damage. So long as those floods don't spread, we'll be absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is just go to a crawl. Make sure no one's going to hit each other, collide, and we'll let that damage on the Yamato subside. So, we did let that damage subside from the Yamato, and that is excellent, and unfortunately the Naganami did get scuttled. So what we're going to do is send that back over here. Actually no, we're going to go straight back to truck, resupply, send the Kazagamo out. This tab over here to split, and that is going to have to go home. Rather that than lose it permanently. We do have some destroyers coming in, some Yamato reinforcements. Do have a couple Fubikis, I believe, over here. They were, what was it, Yugamos? I can't fully remember. I'll have to have a look very soon. But that was very, very nice indeed, I think. Let's have a look at the total enemy losses. All the way down with the stutter in there, keeping up with the total. 303 enemy ships sunk. Finally. 2.5 million tons sunk. That is absolutely ridiculous. But I tell you what is more ridiculous, guys. We're going to leave it there for today. An especially short video, I know, but quite enough excitement. I need to cool my head and come back later. And we need to start thinking about what we want to do with those extra supplies. Of course, we will need to wait another week to actually get resupplied, after only being resupplied very recently. But not to worry, that will come in all nice and dandy. Now, can we actually check, if we go to rules, what that comes in as? It won't tell us just yet, but it will tell us hopefully over the next resupply week. So that's excellent. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Quite the shocker there with that, I suppose, ambush battle, really. Very, very close quarters indeed. But very, very enjoyable. So I shall see you in the next video. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.